Hello everyone, welcome to Ka Homeopathy Study Group Pro Bono webinar hosted by Kavita Holistic Approach. I would like to take privilege to say that our Ka Study Group is the first homeopathy pro bono study group from the United States of America, which formed to unite world-renowned practitioners spanning the globe. Ka's mission and vision are very unique to inspire young homeopaths, mentor, provide excellency for educational purposes using holistic approaches via webinars. We provide professional continuing ed homeopathic credits that provides for the practitioners. We follow the principles of classical homeopathy and invite speakers for HNA accredited webinars. We value and treasure the human collective as our honorable peers. We provide merit certificates for spreading the light of homeopathy worldwide while celebrating stage 4 cancer survivors through our inspirational book talks. These webinars are for educational purposes only and see an expert homeopath for treatment. This is Kavita Kokunur from Michigan, USA, President and CEO of Kavita Holistic Approach. I am board certified homeopath and outreach coordinator of CHC PR committee, encouraging homeopaths to become CHC certified. I am member of Kevin Friendly Foundation, a non-profit organization that helps to serve poor people in greater needs in India. I thank Ka Homeopathy Study Group team for their continuous support. This webinar is moderated by Ka family, Dr. Sweta Singh, Chief Administrator, Professor Regina Rianelli. It is being recorded as we speak and we are live on Facebook. To receive certificate, please kindly fill the jot form provided in the chat. Voice to support homeopathy. Our friends at Americans for Homeopathy Choice submitted a petition to the FDA to protect homeopathy. We need your help. It will just take 2 minutes. Our goal is 1000 comments by December 2nd, 2020. Currently, we have 16,000 plus. And thank you for all those who have supported this petition. And we will provide the link in the chat. Before I start, I would like Professor Regina to chant Gayatri Mantra.
Thank you. Om Burbuat Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyan Bargo Devasya Jimahi Jio Yona Prachodaya. Many blessings to the universe. Thank you. Namaskarams.
Thank you so much, Professor Regina. We have learned many things in our previous webinars with Dr. Massimo Manglavari from Italy, Dr. Divya Chapra from India, and 2 hour HNA webinar by Dr. Jauharsha on complete clinical guidelines on current pandemic crisis and several remedies we have learned and it has helped several thousands of people in this current situation. Today, we will cover 2 very important topics from 2 expert homeopaths, and the topics are opportunity and challenges for homeopathy in COVID-19 pandemic experience from India by Dr. Raj Manchanda, and homeopathic prophylaxis, its historic roots and relevance for practice today by Kathy Lemon. And we will take questions at the end of the first topic for 5 to 10 minutes. And it is great privilege to introduce our honorable speaker, Dr. Raj Manchanda. Dr. Raj Manchanda, he did his MD in Homeopathy and MBA Healthcare Administration from University of Delhi, India, with over 35 plus years of experience in as a professional and renowned homeopath, clinician, teacher, researcher, and administrator. Dr. Manchanda has a rare insight into policy matters related to homeopathic educational research, medicinal products, and global affairs. Formerly, he was the Director General of Central Council for Research in Homeopathy, CCRH, an apex research organization under Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. And his Honorable PhD, Cyberjaya from University College of Medical Sciences, Malaysia. An Honorable Faculty of Homeopathy, UK, author of Textbook of Dermatology for Homeopaths, co-authored about 150 research publications in peer-reviewed journals. Ministry of Ayush, Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopath, Unani, and Siddha, and he is the Director General and Secretary Information and Communication of Liga Medicorium Homeopathica Internationalis. Currently, Director of Ayush, Department of Health and Welfare, Family Welfare, Government of NCT of Delhi. There is so much to say about Dr. Manchanda, and it is a great privilege to have him here with us today. And we will also welcome Kathy Lemon, our second speaker. Kathy Lemon, who completed her homeopathic studies through several established homeopathic schools in Europe and UK, including specialized training in special homeopathic and other natural healing approaches, all of which help her effectively work with and promote healing and wellness in the clients she sees in her practice. She did her bachelor's in arts and member of Alliance of Registered Homeopaths UK, North American Society of Homeopathy, the National Center for Homeopathy, and Texas Society of Homeopathy. Kathy is certified homeopathic supervisor in homeoprophylaxis and works closely with world authorities in this. She founded the non-profit 501c organization Homeoprophylaxis, a worldwide choice, HPWWC in 2015, and through this has put together international conferences which have taken place in Dallas, Texas, USA, Netherlands, and India. She has lectured and presented throughout the United States and internationally. Mrs. Lemon has articles published in many international magazines, including Homeopathic Links, the German language homeopathic magazine, and many more international online homeopathic magazines. And we welcome Kathy to our webinar. Both of you, thank you so much for giving us this great privilege. And Dr. Manchanda, would you like to start yours first, please? We welcome you.
Thank you, Kavita. First of all, I'm thankful to Kavita that you have given me this opportunity to interact with you. I'll be giving you a short presentation about what is going on in India and what are our future plans. So I'll be just sharing my screen. I hope that the screen is visible now.
Yes.
Yeah. So just a minute. Anyway, so let me start. My topic will be what kind of opportunities and challenges are there for homeopathy in COVID-19. I'll be talking for about next 25 to 30 minutes about homeopathy in epidemics and pandemic, opportunities in COVID-19, what is the global scenario and LMHI initiatives in this area, and what are the initiatives by the Indian and Delhi government, and what are our future plans. So as regard epidemics, Kathy is going to cover this in greater details. I just would like to say that epidemics have been closely associated with historical evolution of homeopathy. As epidemic of cholera, Spanish flu, yellow fever, scarlet fever, diphtheria, typhoid were managed well during pre-antibiotic and pre-vaccination era with homeopathy. But with the evolved understanding of modern microbiology, development of vaccine, preventive medicines, and the incidence of old world epidemics have substantially reduced. And at the same time, the benefit of homeopathy in the past are also being questioned by certain critics. Just a minute. But now with the appearance of new microbes like COVID-19, swine flu, Ebola, which are creating great challenge to the public health system of the world, and there are no vaccine. So this is all creating an opportunity for homeopathy. And we know that homeopathy has a track record of safety, easy integration in public health initiatives. It can be integrated with any kind of modality. It can be given safely to pregnant women, babies, elderly people. And if we have a definitive solution, production and storage and distribution of medicinal product is very simple, very cost effective, and can be scalable in short time. So this COVID-19, when the whole world wants some solution, homeopathy has an opportunity. But how normally what are the approach of homeo prevention? So there are two approaches primarily. One is approach of genus epidemicus and the other is nosode. So genus epidemicus means that a remedy or a group of remedy which is found to be curative in majority of the cases of the same disease is also the most likely preventive for that disease. The medicine is identified through observation of several cases of an epidemic disease and analyzing the symptomatology of those cases for the most indicated remedy. And nosode is the remedy that is the preventive for the ongoing epidemic of the disease and is prepared from the biological material of the infection itself. So it is just like you can say vaccination. Like in vaccine, we see that various products of virus, sometimes spike protein, some are using complete virus, some are using even antibodies for the preparation of different kinds of vaccines. So nosodes is a age-old system that need modernization even in homeopathy. But there are challenges in both the things, In genus epidemicus, it has to be a very, very systematic process. Like first we need to collect data of the few patients suffering from the disease. Then identification of genus epidemicus remedy or group of remedy is essential. Then we need to verify that on a wide scale of a disease group. Then we have to test that administering for prevention on healthy groups. Then assessment of outcome of both the groups, and then announcement of the genus epidemicus is needed. So it do require a systematic process. But where in the world we have that kind of freedom, where this kind of systematic study is possible? In addition, there is a gathering of input from the leading homeopathic prescriber, those who are treating different kinds of patients having that particular epidemic disease or pandemic disease. Then most importantly, in cases of pandemic, is the networking across the globe. And then the last point is very important, is the assurance of quantity, quality, and cost effectiveness of the available medicine and its distribution at massive scale. So these are the challenges as regard the genus epidemic is concerned. When we look at specific nosode, it gives direct competition to the ongoing so many vaccine trials in conventional medicine. Most important thing is how standardization of the base material, mother potency, then use of modern technology in its potentization in assessing of safety and efficacy, that whether homeopathic potency, which potency of nosode can have possibility of producing appropriate preclinical and clinical response. So these are the challenges in nosodes. In homeopathy, we have used nosodes not to that extent as vaccines have been used all over the world. So we have not tested nosodes with that aspect in greater detail. But when we talk of COVID-19, we need to have a very definitive, systematic process of developing a nosode and then testing its efficacy and safety. We know that high potencies of all the nosodes are by and large safe. It can't produce any adverse reaction like we have seen in vaccine. Sometimes the adverse reactions are possible, but its efficacy is of equal importance. If a product which might be of safe but is not that much effective, so there is no use of that product. So in cases of specific, our challenges are the same challenges what we are facing in development of the vaccine in modern system of medicine. So coming to the what is going on across the globe. We know that homeopathy is practiced in about 100 countries as per the WHO report. And these 100 countries are spread over almost all the continents, whether it is Asia, whether it is Europe, whether it is United States of America, whether it is Latin America, whether it is Russia. Everywhere we have presence of homeopathy. And there are about 600,000 prescribers, 200 million people, those who have faith, and it has presence in 100 countries. Now, when we look at this chart of WHO, when there are 48 million patients are already have already suffered from COVID. So COVID also has a presence in almost all these countries where homeopathy has a presence, and rather in much more countries than that. So information is available in all these countries in respect of COVID-19. Challenge is how to use that information in homeopathy. So LMHI, as you know, Liga Medicorum Homeopathic Internationalis, is having its membership in almost 70 to 80 countries of different degrees. More members are from there, Europe, Asia, but even in smaller countries, we have few homeopaths, those who are practicing. So LMHI initiated as an umbrella organization and is in coordination with these three organizations. One is the Clificol. Another one is the spreadsheet developed by American Institute of Homeopathy, and then the Vitulkas campus. Any one of you can submit your cases to any of these three forums. And these all initiatives are being coordinated by Scientific Committee of LMHI and is being spread to all the members of LMHI and to the profession. It is being frequently shared. So I'm also going to share with you some of the things. This was the first publication that has come from China, where they shortlisted Bryonia, Gelsemium, and Arsenic album, that these can be the remedies on first 18 patients treated in Hong Kong. So this was published in Homeopathy. Then when we got feedback from different countries, like from Italy, different European countries, even from India. So what we could see, and then LMHI group worked on those cases, the remedies that emerged were Arsenic album, Bryonia, Gelsemium, Phosphorus, and Pulsatilla. So these were the remedies that emerged, and now these remedies are being used widely by homeopathic fraternity all over the world. So this is all data related to each symptoms, when to prescribe Bryonia. I would just like to give you little detail in my next slide. That what we have used prognostic factor research model for shortlisting the most appropriate characteristics of when to prescribe arsenic, when to prescribe these drugs. And these indications are not very uncommon. These are all well known to you. But in a state of panic, in a state of pandemic, when to prescribe is most important thing. And normally there are certain pointed indications, like for arsenic, sleeplessness, desire for warm drink, anxiety, fear of death. For Bryonia, thirst for large quantity, cough, desire for rest, motion aggravates. For Gelsemium, weakness, heaviness of eyelids, thirstlessness, chilliness, headache better by profuse urination. For Phosphorus, there is constant gasping for air, chest discomfort, and pneumonitic cases. And Pulsatilla for loss of appetite, wants to be held, bitter taste, and loss of smell, unaltered state of. So these are some of the indications that LMHI feedback have been able to shortlist. And on the basis of that, Lex Rutten and his team has developed a app, mini repertory, you can say. Like all of you, those who are sitting in different parts of the world, and if you don't have access to all the books of homeopathy, at least you can use this app, which is available at hpra.co.uk. And in this app, you have to just fill up the common symptoms of the pandemic that you see in one particular patient. And this app can give you idea from all these 5 medicines. But the reach of this app is only of these 5 medicines only: arsenic album, bromia, gelsemium, phosphorus, and pulsatilla. But if your patient require any medicine outside these app, this app will say that none of these is there. So you can prescribe any drug even outside this. So what is going on in India and Delhi? In India, as you know, that we have a separate ministry of Ayush that was created in 2014, and homeopathy is one of the system recognized in within the Ayush system: Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, and Siddha. Here we give equal status to all the physicians, and we have structure for doing regular research. We have research council. Then education of homeopathy is well controlled in India. We have national institutes, and overall there is a statutory control even on the quality and safety of all the Ayush drugs, including homeopathy. There are about ever growing graph of medical colleges. More than 230 colleges are there in India, and they are all university affiliated. Homeopathic services are available in private sector as well as in public sector. Patient has an option of using homeopathy. Like there are about, you can say, 300,000 homeopathic doctors, qualified homeopathy doctors in India, and they constitute about 40% of the 36% of the workforce of Indian medical fraternity. So it is for the patient what they want. And now the government of health policy is focusing more on wellness and prevention of infections by appropriate vaccination and rational use of antibiotics, and pushing Ayush systems, yoga, Ayurveda, homeopathy, pushing all these systems for wellness. And antibiotic resistance is one of the growing problem for in the at global level. Even in India, it is a problem. So we are trying to push Ayush systems as the first line of treatment, especially in day-to-day infection, so that there should be lesser use of antibiotics. Similarly, for old age, multi-morbidity is one of the problem, and we are trying to use Ayush systems as an add-on with the conventional system wherever required to reduce the usage of conventional medicine. And even we have seen that at preclinical stages, Ayush systems, homeopathy has a role, like we have done for early cases of preclinical stages of hypothyroidism we did. So similar pre-diabetic cases, early cases of hypertension, all these cases can be managed well. So at primary healthcare center, we are trying to integrate Ayush systems and homeopathy to give best to the public. And India has a strategic advantage of human resource, infrastructure of homeopathy, proper legislator approach. So now we are trying to build model on this strategic advantage. Like in India, we too have about 84 lakh patients. More than 84, about 85 lakh patients are there, and every day about 50,000 to 60,000 new COVID patients are being added. And in Delhi also, we are having about 400,000 patients, and every day about 6,000 to 7,000 patients are being added. So in this situation, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India gave very clear policy guidelines that immunity is the key in this ongoing pandemic. So if we can manage individual immunity, we can manage the immunity of the community along with all the preventive measures like masking, social distancing, hand hygiene. If we are able to do it, I think we might be able to control this pandemic better till we have a very, very definitive treatment solutions, or we have a very definitive vaccine. So considering that and considering these policy guidelines, ministry even developed interdisciplinary team for developing evidence-based solutions within the Ayush systems. And wherever it is possible, we need to integrate these systems, including homeopathy, at all the three levels, whether it is preventive and prophylactic, or for the management of COVID-like symptoms, those who are mild to moderate, and if a patient is admitted, where we can give Ayush medicines along with the standard integrated institutional protocol that is being followed. So these are the policy guidelines given by the ministry way back when the pandemic was started. And then specific guidelines were issued for homeopathic practitioners for COVID-19. These are available on ministry's website. The objective of these guidelines was that what are the group of most important medicines that can be used for mild cases, like starting from aconite, arsenic, bryonia, gelsemium, rustox, eupatorium, ipecac, belladonna, camphora, and for severe cases like phosphorus, cinchona, lycopodium, antiphonium ars, sternum, carbovate. So all these group of medicine and when to use these medicine, these all have been discussed in these guidelines given by the ministry. And in these guidelines, sufficient caution is also given when and how to use this and to what extent you need to use it. So all these issues, all this infrastructure, because we have about 36% homeopathic doctors, their services are required to be utilized. So these are all the policy guidelines that are available on the website of Ministry of Ayush. So coming to Delhi, in Delhi, we have about 5,000 homeopathic doctors. Most of them are working in private sector, but government of Delhi do have about 250 homeopathic dispensaries in Delhi. Out of these, about 106 are run by my organization, Directorate of Ayush, but others are being run by different organizations like central government and municipalities and ESI, and so many wellness clinics are there. And there are 2 medical colleges in Delhi. So this infrastructure is already available with us. So based on the guidelines of Ministry of Ayush, Government of Delhi also issued detailed guidelines for improvement of immunity by using Ayush systems and by following certain self-care and immuno-boosting measures. So this is what and this circular in different languages was shared with the Delhiites through print media, through digital media, through our Facebook account, through our Twitter handles, everywhere. These general guidelines were shared that includes drinking of warm water, daily practices of exercises, and certain herbs that you are required to use as herbal tea. Then these all guidelines were discussed. And along with that, it was told that arsenic album 30, that was the most appropriate depending upon the early symptoms of the pandemic. So that drug was also given from homeopathic side. And people are using it. Our public health infrastructure is guiding people how to use this advisory in their daily life. And along with that, since the number of cases were rising, Nehru Homeopathic Medical College, one of the medical college of homeopathy, was converted into a dedicated COVID health center, where patients of mild to moderate patients were admitted under homeopathic doctors and were given integrated care, where homeopathic services were integrated with the conventional services to the extent conventionals are required. And then on the other hand, in conventional hospitals, homeopathic units were strengthened, and those patients, those who are willing to take homeopathy, are being given homeopathic medicines along with the conventional care. So on one hand, homeopathic integrated care is being given in homeopathic medical colleges, and the integrated is being care even in conventional hospitals. And Directorate of Ayush organized training of all the Ayush professionals of Delhi through series of webinars. And all these doctors were posted in, even are being now posted in different testing centers and are working alongside the conventional team and are providing healthcare. At the same time, are prescribing homeopathic medicine wherever they feel appropriate. All our public health in containment zone, in high risk zone, for the police personnel, for the grocery shops, for the prisons, for the old age homes, homeopathic medicines as immunoboosters like arsenic album are being distributed regularly through our public health systems. And their data is also to some extent maintained. But this is not enough. We need to do some systematic researches. For that, our experiences, initial experiences of 5 to 6 months that now we have at Nehru Homeopathic Medical College and at different COVID testing centers, in different conventional centers where we have been able to add on homeopathy as one of the modality along with conventional care, we have developed 2 research papers. One paper has already been accepted, and you will see in another week time, it will be available online. That is the clinical characteristics and remedy profile of patients with COVID-19, a retrospective cohort study. So this study was undertaken at Nehru Homeopathic Medical College, where patients that were admitted between April and June were studied. And the primary objective was to identify the clinical presentation of the laboratory confirmed COVID-19 patients and what kind of drugs are indicated. And secondary objective was to based on this, to design a randomized controlled trial. So about 200 patients were treated, and majority were mild patients. Detailed homeopathic clinical analysis of all these patients was done. And at this end, different potencies were used, different repertories were used in prescribing. And these, and around, I think, so far 35 medicines were used. But most frequently indicated medicines were Brineia, arsenic, pulsatilla, Nux vomica, belladonna, and Rustox, and then Gelsemium. But other drugs were also used in few cases. And another study that is also being done in COVID care centers, where about 100 doctors under the public health care systems are working. This paper has also been submitted for publication. Here we are using prognostic factor research. And this is the same technique that is being used by LMHI for identifying the characteristics of the drugs that are being used. And why this is necessary? Because if we have to undertake randomized control trials, we need to know the remedies in advance, and we need to know their precise indications that can be reliably used. So here, with the group of general duty medical officers, we have been able to collect considerable data with the objective of identifying the symptoms of COVID-19 disease as the clinical response in an integrated setup. So far, 28 homeopathic doctors have contributed in this, and all this data we have analyzed, and we have used Oridal scale, we have used specific selection criteria to identify high quality good cases. Like out of 327, we could identify about 211 cases where we could find that effect of homeopathic remedy was definitive. Like after giving homeopathic medicine, we could observe effect within first 24 hours, and patient improved within, complete recovery was there within 7 days. So out of 327 cases, we could identify 211 cases where the response was very, very definitive. So based on that, we have calculated likelihood ratio of main 4 drugs: arsenic album, different symptoms of the 4 drug: arsenic album, bryonia, gelsemium, and pulsatilla. So these were the main 4 drugs that were used by 28 doctors on about 200 patients, 211 patients. So different indications we have shortlisted, and this also soon you will find in our publication. But limitation of all these studies are that these are not randomized controlled trials. These are just observational studies and have been done retrospectively. So now we are moving from the next level where we have to undertake randomized controlled trials. We have already launched a preventive trial with 3 drugs: arsenic album, bryonia, and camphora, where we are giving these drugs to about 20,000 different people in Delhi and are trying to see how many we can save and in how many we can influence the course of disease. These are all placebo controlled studies that we have already launched in Delhi. And apart from us, there are certain publications that I would just like to highlight from India. One was the idea of using antibodies as SARS-CoV for COVID-19. So this was published. Then there was another paper where it was suggested that we need to repurpose the existing medicine, and this is what we are doing. And another paper that came that said that Merck solubilis can be one of the genus epidemic. So different groups in India are suggesting and are working on COVID-19 patients and are suggesting we at central government level, at state government level, at LMHI level are trying to coordinate that to the extent it is feasible so far. There is a full-fledged one issue on COVID-19 by in our Indian Journal of Research in Homeopathy, and you all can see it is freely available, published by Central Council for Research in Homeopathy. So many ideas related to COVID-19 and use of homeopathy in pandemic has been discussed. Since the time is always short for all these types of presentation, it is not wise to discuss this, but this is all available free of cost because this is a journal which is open access journal. It is freely available to everyone. You can download each and every article and use it in your practice. So our way forward is we have to undertake prospective randomized placebo controlled trials. And this is what we are planning in India. And we have already started doing it in respect of prevention. Now we are going to start in respect of treatment. And if we get opportunity, we might work with at conventional centers where we are going to integrate homeopathy for even severe cases. So we are trying to work on these kinds of protocol with our interdisciplinary team within Delhi. Another important studies that is required is to compare the effectiveness of genus epidemicus and nosodes and to develop nosode of COVID and see how effective it is for prevention as well as treatment of this. So few groups are working even on this within India. And another important is longitudinal time series studies. Our public health clinics, they have a definitive clientele. Here I would like to call upon all the even private practitioners, those who are working, that they are serving to some of the families. At least take care of those families. Give them appropriate preventive you feel. Now, what can be the appropriate preventive in such a situation where so many medicines are indicated? I say that one of the preventive is that is given by the official authorities like arsenic album. But the other preventive can be the indicated drug for an index patient. Even that can be given in addition to arsenic album or alongside that. So that kind of situation We need that kind of prescription we need to follow for our patients. So these are, so just to conclude, COVID-19 is a new disease. There are currently no homeopathic prevention and curative medicine of proven effectiveness is available. But we have to undertake studies to prove whatever information we have. And homeopathy has the strength of being useful in prevention and managing epidemic based on specific symptoms, irrespective of causative organism. So we need to exploit this strength. But while doing this, we have not to forget that now we are in 21st century. Dr. Hahnemann, the founder of homeopathy, was much ahead of his time when he proposed prevention of scarlet fever epidemic in 1799, when there was no microscope, no way of testing. He just gave idea of symptomatic management and then symptomatic prevention. So we have to now use all modern technology available in respect of virus, in respect of testing, in respect of clinical profiling, and then we have to move forward with and using this approach of symptomatic approach of homeopathy. And I have told you that in India we are trying to demonstrate this through a systematic thing where we have already completed observational studies, and those are being published. Now we are moving towards the randomized controlled trials, and even with the new products like nozodes that different groups are working within India. And I hope that we might be able to find some good solution in homeopathy, and this can be a game changer if this happens anywhere in the world, not only in India, anywhere in the world. We all have to work systematically, and if we are able to work systematically, and if anything positive happens in homeopathy, who knows, this can be a game changer for homeopathy. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Manchanda. It was learned many new things and updates of this current situation with especially the scientific and research studies of CCRH and Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, with all the latest things. And thank you so much for all the tips you have shared for this one, all the tools. It's an amazing, and we will see if Dr. Sweth and Professor Regina has any questions to take, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for this amazing sharing. And we have one question. The first study to which you referred,
I have seen that Dr. Dana's question. I will answer
Yes.
this. So, Dana, details you will get in our publication. We had to, in the first study to which you referred, 300 patients had 112 cases that were not evaluated for various, because I'll tell you, that was the time of initial pandemic. Many patients were admitted but were asymptomatic. So it was not possible to evaluate them. And the precise reason for all this group we have given in our publication that you are going to get. Some of the patients were those who took immediately conventional medicine, and it was not possible to see whether the effect is because of the homeopathic intervention. So it is not a question of cherry picking that way. It is just an observational study. And with these studies, we are trying to develop a base for our randomized control trial. It is a new disease. We don't know how to treat it. Even people, those who are required to work in randomized control trials, are required to given adequate training. How to get this training for a new disease. So what we decided that whatever patients we are getting, let us start treating in an integrated setup and try to record it. The problem within Indian situation is that documentation is a very, very big thing and very, very difficult thing. People just treat because they love to treat patients, and get money out of it or get satisfaction out of it. But they seldom record and they seldom document. But in storytelling, anybody can do. So what I was trying to do, I was trying to develop my team that at least please record. And then we tried to publish that as an observational study before we actually do some randomized control trials. So very soon we are going to register our randomized control trial as well. Thank you, Dana, for this question.
Thank you so much, sir. As we are live on Facebook, sir, we have one question from Dr. Bharat Bhushan. Like he said, as you said that homeopathy have 36% share of medical fraternity. May I know what is the share of other system of medicine?
Like as you know that there are about 60, you can say 16 lakh. So you can say, how you say 16 lakh, 0.16 million doctors in India, or you can say precisely 1.18 million. Out of that, 300,000 are homeopath, and then some are about Ayush Ayurvedic doctors. They are about, I think, 500,000, and then if we combine this, it comes to about, you can say 700,000 or 800,000, and then 800,000 are allopathic doctors. This is how it is broadly. Registered qualified doctors all over India.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. And Dr. Harinath is asking, can we get link to download IGRH special edition on COVID-19? So,
What is that? What is the question?
Can we get link to download IGRH special edition on?
It is already available. It is already available. IGRH.org. Go there and download. And there is another question by Dana I could see in the chat box that is regarding whether doctors have been outlawed. No, it is not true. Any qualified doctor can prescribe if we get patient and patient is willing to take. There is no outlawed that you cannot provide. The only what is thing is prohibited is that you should not have overclaim, false claim, and wrong claims about COVID. If we are treating patient on a symptomatic basis. We don't know whether we are actually helping COVID patients or not. We are treating symptomatic as anybody is treating, and we are trying to treat through immunomodulation. So this is what is being propagated, and for that any qualified doctor can do, but it is not appropriate to just claim that we have got cure for COVID without going through the rigorous process of randomized controlled trials. And this is what different organizations at different level are trying to do. If at all we are successful, even we don't know.
Right.
Thank you, Dana, for the second question.
So one question from my side, as we are following an integrated approach for treating these COVID patients, so herbs, patients are taking herbs and herbs teas and all. So is it that herbs are they are not interfering with the action of our homeopathic remedies?
Look,
what is your view, sir?
I'll tell you. It is a very, very challenging thing that when a patient was admitted in our facility, there was thing that every patient should be given HCQ. Then a situation came that every patient should be given antibiotic. Then a situation came that every patient should be given X amount of antiviral. So all these situations and different protocols are being tested by the conventional doctors also. And even then from Ayurvedic side came that you give these herbs and you give this type of kadas.
Yes.
What we are looking at in our observational studies is that when we give homeopathic medicine on definitive indications, we trying to see what is happening to those indications in next 24 hours. And then what happens overall in next 7 days. That is why we have removed about 40% of the patient from our analysis, because we want to include only those cases which had some definitive effect. So it is a very complex situation. The disease is such, nobody knows actually what is happening. So ethically, we cannot tell any patient that you stop this, you stop that. Yeah. But when we are doing randomized controlled trials, all these confounding factors, we are trying to take care as much as possible.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering my
Thank you,
question.
Shweta.
And that's all about the questions, ma'am. It's up to you.
Thank you. Thank you for this good opportunity.
Dr. Manchanda, 1 second. Professor Rajni, do you have anything to say, please?
Yes, kindly. Thank you, Dr. Manchandra. It was a very enlightening webinar. I've learned a lot from you. My question is, if you're treating a 80-year-old patient with a previous history of lung cancer and recurrent pneumonia, do you think I could use the SARS-CoV nosode, or shall wait?
I don't know, because about the use of nosode, first we have to look into his safety studies, and that aspect is most important thing, So
As
it
the
is very
client
difficult
has,
for me and very difficult for me to say anything at this stage about this.
thank you, sir. Because as the client has problems in the lungs, as
I
the
agree with you.
COVID nosode, the
So
protocol
both,
here is 3 drops a week of this
okay,
nosode.
okay.
But I think twice before offering it. Thank you
No,
so
no.
much for your
Thank you.
orientation and guidance, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
Thank
we
you.
will take any more questions. If anyone has, please do email us and we will get in contact with Dr. Manchanda. And because I know many of you have many more questions and due to lack of time, but we will definitely bring Dr. Manchanda again. And thank you so much for honoring our study group with your
Thank you.
precious
Thank
time,
you.
Dr.
Thank you.
Manchanda, and sharing your knowledge. It's a wonderful presentation. And I am so fortunate to meet Dr. Manchanda and Kathy in person at HPWWC International Conference that was held at January 2020 at New Delhi with stalwarts of worldwide homeoprophylaxis experts. And we would like to take privilege to honor your gracious presence at our study group today with a certificate. Kindly accept
Thank you.
it from our study group, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Dr. Sweta, would you like to present, please?
Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Dr.
Thank you.
Manchanda.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we will bring you back. And